like you just said something that I would love to ask you the question. What is mental illnesses? Like, what is the calling? What do you see that being the calling? Because there's always something behind everything. I love the idea that we can go deeper instead of
Mhm.
stigmatizing or judging.
Mhm.
So how do you see that personally and professionally, you, Christine?
Well, I think these days, and to avoid stigmatization, we call everything mental health. Like we have mental health issues. And, the people who go in and shoot up the whole community, they have
Yeah.
mental health issues. But there are some people who say we shouldn't call that mental health. We should call that mental disorder
Yeah.
because of their behavior and how they're not fitting into society, into the norms of society. Obviously, if you're shooting up children at the Super Bowl parade like that.
Right.
But I believe is, can you function, and how can you function, and how can you fit yourself into society um, as you are? Okay,
Yeah.
there are reasons why children develop hallucinations early in childhood, and there's some thought about that. But there was this great doctor, Dr. Greenspan, who wrote a book about the growth of the mind. And he said that no matter what the situation is, you can work with these children. They can grow up to be leaders, no matter what they have on the autistic spectrum,
Yeah.
or it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. These children can be leaders and productive people. And so
Yeah.
that's how he worked with it. So you can take the case of ADHD, that's a prime challenge, right?
Yeah.
So you can label a child at a very early age, even as young as 2 or 3, because they're not fitting in to the nursery school, scene. I know I had that challenge with my son when he was a 3-year-old, and he was very active when he was born, just like I was. I
Yeah.
describe it in my book how I climbed telephone poles when I was 3, and I taught myself how to roller skate when I was 3, and I just said to my sister, "Put these skates on me and show me what to do." And then I took
Yeah.
off on this little
Yeah.
skating race on a block, and so I was very active. So I knew myself, and at an early age, I was told that I had ants in my pants and that there's something
Uh,
wrong with me. But I managed to use this wonderful energy. I see it as a natural resource, but it depends on how society looks at it and
yeah.
what we can do. So I'm just using this as an example. So instead of teaching the children how to manage their high energy, as I look at it as a natural resource, some
Yeah.
people think, well, they don't fit into the classroom. Like, what's wrong with them? So I brought my son to this nursery school. I think he was 2.5. It was just like a 2 hour thing in the morning. And the teacher was so organized in her little classroom. And she said at the end of this interview, it's like, this is an audition for my son to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, look, he took all these toys out and he didn't put them away." And I said, "Yeah." And he
Right.
was playing with them. And
Yeah.
she said, "Oh," and when I called him, he didn't come right to me. And she said, "I don't think he's going to fit in our classroom. There's something wrong with him, and he'll just come here, and he'll have to
Mm.
prove himself. And he should just play with Fisher Price toys." This is what she told me. And so when I left there, I think I cried for 3 days because my son was my first child.
Yeah.
And I just cried and cried and say, "What? Fisher Price?" Which, no insult to the company, but she said he should just play with toys and play, these friends who play with toys. So anyway, I brought him to another nursery school that was much more enlightened. It
Yeah.
was called the Green Twig, and it related to how a tree grows, how children grow.
Uh,
And so they said, "Oh, look how alert he is. Look how he's doing this. Look how he's doing that." And I said, "Oh, thank God." So that's where he went to nursery school, and he excelled there um, because of his high energy and his
uh,
memory and his observation skills. Like one time, the teachers couldn't find their scissors, so he's playing on the floor with his friend doing a project,
Yeah.
And he just pointed, the scissors are over there, as he was playing, because he was so observant. So
Wow.
that's what I like to see, to nurture the child and not to label them, and then worse than that, to give them the psychotropic drugs that are addictive.
Yeah.
And that's where we come back to the what we're doing today. As I said in the chapter, there's some people call it the lobotomization, which is chemical now, of our brains from so many toxic drugs that we're taking, and in combination, because you can open up your medicine cabinet and have so many, and they counteract each other. And some people use them to commit suicide, and it
Uh,
makes you crazy.
yeah.
And so there's the same degeneration in the brain, and it's not very helpful. And that's what we depend on in this country, rather than talking to people. And so that's why I say we need to take this into our own hands and
Yes.
learn what to do and
Yeah.
rid ourselves of our traumas from early childhood, which I speak about in the book, and then reach out to our children and teach them the same skills that the Kansas City Chiefs used to win the Super Bowl.
I
That's
know.
mental rehearsal,
Yeah.
relaxation, breathing easy, all the things that I teach in my book and with my clients.
To